Well, a very, very good evening to you and welcome to Ideal World. My name is Genevieve and it is a pleasure to have your company on this hour. It's a very special hour because it's dedicated to planning for the future. Now, a lot of us will plan for parties, we'll plan for birthdays, we'll plan holidays, and we'll plan it in advance as well. But we don't seem to plan for the inevitable or if something goes wrong. And this is why it's so important tonight on the show to talk to the planning crowd about what happens if the inevitable happens. Because a lot of us don't get around to thinking about making a will. If I ask you now, have you made a will? It's always tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. We just don't get around to it. But tonight we're going to be talking about how important that is to have a valid will in place. And not only that, in this show, we're going to be talking about lasting power of attorney as well. Now, we have got some lovely guests with us tonight to talk us through everything. We've got Ian Peace joining us tonight, the Managing Director, and also our lovely Helen Hill is joining us as well, our Legal Services Director. Well, first of all, it's great to have you both here.
Hello.
Ian, can you tell me a little bit more about the planning crowd and what you do?
I will, and I ought to put our Managing Directors at rest because I'm the Director. Don't forget, Andy's the Managing Director.
Oh, you're the right, okay.
Yeah, the reason he's not here tonight is just had twins.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, him and his lovely
Andy,
wife
yes.
have just had twins.
Oh, how lovely.
Well, the planning crowd is
Yes.
a culmination of over 30 years' work and experience, really. We've got over 80,000 clients. We predominantly specialise in end-of-life planning, so as you've spoken about, we predominantly do wills and estate planning.
Yes.
But we also offer a full range of legal services from conveyancing, trust administration. We actually we look after and help people protect assets to the tune of about £300 million at the moment. So different people have different needs and we try and cater for all of those. But obviously where we specialise is wills and estate planning, and that's why we're here today.
That's incredible. Now let's take a look at the list of services that the planning crowd can provide. Wills, of course, LPAs, lasting power of attorneys, trusts, probate, and then of course you've got COP, we'll talk about that as well, trust admin, conveyancing, bereavement, HMLO, first registration deed, and remember, of course, we'll talk about that too, deed of variation and trustee support. So all of that, of course. Now, both Ian and Helen will be talking to us about the value and the benefits of having a will in place, and also about a lasting power of attorney. Helen, why would our viewers choose to go to you to write their wills?
Well, we like to think that we've put together some really good offers for the viewers tonight. So that would be the first reason. The second reason is we understand that everyone's circumstances are different and we offer a real personal service. So we take them through right from the very first time they pick up the phone to speak to us, right the way through the journey of producing their documentation and getting all that in place for them. And then we see it through further than that. We can be there to support the family and loved ones when that document is actually needed. So we like to think that we provide a complete service all the way through.
And that's lovely to know. It is almost like bespoke to everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody's different, everybody's needs are different, families are different, and that's what you're there for, to provide for that also.
That's right.
Now, the other thing, of course, is the fantastic offers that are here tonight on the show exclusively for you. We're going to talk about wills, we're going to talk about lasting power of attorneys, but let's have a look at all the details and those deals tonight. So you can see there, first of all, a family estate and will. Now, the usual price is £129. The Ideal World offer tonight is £49, or you can have 4 interest-free payments of £12.25. That is an amazing saving of £80. Now, if you want to go for the lasting power of attorney, from £299 down to £149, and you've got 4 interest-free payments there of £37.25, and that's over just 4 months, remember, and that is it. Now you're saving £150 on that also. I'm sure though tonight as we go through the show, lots of you will be calling the number at the bottom of the screen and going for the will and the lasting power of attorney together. Now that would usually be £420. That is a price of just £179 or 4 interest-free flexible payments of £44.75. Now that's a saving there for you of £249. The team in Lincoln are ready to take your call right now on 0333 600 2600. It gets even easier because if you want to have a callback service, you can do that as well. All you have to do is text the word wills to 88802. That's 88802. And somebody from the planning crowd in Lincoln will give you a call back. Now, Helen, can you just expand on what Ian was saying in regards to the services that you provide?
Yes, we're primarily a legal services company and we specialise in private client services. So predominantly that is estate planning. It's what we do every single day. So we not only draft wills, but we produce trusts, whether it's lifetime or within the will itself. Obviously lasting powers of attorney that we're going to talk about tonight. We deal with conveyancing, we deal with estate administration and court of protection work as well, which I think we're going to touch on when we talk about lasting powers of attorney. So there's a whole range of services and we think that really gives us a great opportunity to know about producing wills because we see the process all the way through.
From start to finish, of course, and I think that's so important. Ian, I talked about contacting the team in Lincoln. Can you tell me a little bit more about your team?
Yeah, we're very proud of the staff that we've got. They're all incredibly highly trained. I'm hoping they're all sat there waiting to take the calls today. We take pride in making our clients the centre of everything that we do, because without our clients we haven't got a business. But it's a nice business to be involved with, and the staff appreciate that because what we do, we know can seriously help families, because at a time when things aren't great, you've either lost someone or someone's lost the mental capacity so they can't manage their affairs. You know, we're talking about wills and LPAs today. We know that such a small thing to us, because we do it every day, is a massive thing to the clients and their families. And so very proud of our staff, very proud of what we do. But they're all highly trained and they're basically sat there now waiting to take your call.
Absolutely, and it really is a first step, isn't it? When you make, at the start of the show I said we don't always get around to it, or it's always tomorrow. Making that call really is the first step to doing something that is so important for you and for your family as well. Helen, just to go back to the start as well, who needs a will and what do we need to do today?
Well, as I said, everyone's circumstances are different, so there will be different reasons for everybody as to why they need to pick up the phone and speak to us today. But essentially, everybody should consider getting their will in place. And it's really easy to put hurdles and barriers in the way. There are always things that are more urgent, even though we'd argue that this is the most important thing you can think about at this time. There's always something that makes you put it off or think, I'll do it tomorrow. What we really want people to do today is just decide to make a will. Give us a call, tell us that they want to take advantage of the offer, and they don't need to do anything else at the moment. You don't need to know what's going to go into your will. You don't need to know what you want to put in your lasting power of attorney. Just pick up the phone, start the process, and we will literally hold your hand all the way through.
So you don't have to have all your documents or anything or know exactly what you want today. Just literally
just make the decision.
It's the important first step. That is, people don't take that first step. It's a bit cheesy, isn't it? But on any journey, you have to take that first step.
It is very true.
It's just making that first step and picking up the phone.
Why do you think, Ian, that people don't get around to making their wills?
Well, I think, like Helen said, that sort of life gets in the way and it's not always at the forefront of people's minds. It's interesting that when we speak to clients and we ask, you know, what's prompted them, what's the motivation for doing it now, and it's a range of factors. We just mentioned there our managing director's had twins, you know, so that his circumstances and his wife's circumstances have changed massively. And that has an impact on what you want to plan for the future. Sadly, we deal with clients who are terminally ill, and that's really sad news. But that brings end of life into focus for those people, and so they want to get their affairs in order. But I think when you speak to other people, they'll say that they put it off because they thought it might be complicated, or some people think it's going to be depressing. And some people actually don't think they've got anything to leave anyway, or they're worried about feeling stupid because it's not something they know about. And none of those are real reasons not to do it, because we will literally help you through the whole process, because as we said, everybody's different. So just make that first phone call. If you genuinely don't need a will, we'll tell you you don't need a will. But that person is few and far between, if indeed they even exist. But it is all about taking that first step, and I think the reason people don't it's all for personal reasons, all different reasons, but overcome that and just make that first phone call, because it's one of the most selfless things you can do, because you won't have the benefit of it. I know it's a really obvious thing to say, but if you've passed away, all you can do for your family and loved ones is make sure that you've planned and made an awful time no worse. Because when you plan, it actually makes things a lot easier. And we see both sides of the coin.
I'm sure you do. And it's always the most stressful time and the most upsetting time as well for your family, for your loved ones.
Yeah.
And a time when they have to make these huge decisions on your behalf. And if that's done for them, then it takes all of that pressure and worry. If you're doing the right thing, is that what they would have wanted? All of that comes into it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. My life is my wife and my 2 boys. I've got a gorgeous wife. I'm punching well above my weight. I've got 2 beautiful boys. They're my life. And so all I want to know is that they're taken care of and that I've not made anything more difficult for them.
Exactly.
And it, you know, takes 15, 20 minutes of your time to do that. You know, it's not a complicated thing. So it's all about taking that first step, though. So please pick up the phone.
That's it. It's just picking. That's all you have to do. Pick up the phone and have a chat right now. We mentioned lasting power of attorney. How does that fit in with the will and estate planning?
I think if you ask anybody, they know what a will is.
Yes.
They might oversimplify it and think it's a piece of paper that comes into effect when you've passed away, but that's essentially what a will is, and people understand that, you know, life is finite. With a lasting power of attorney, that's actually a very, very powerful document that you can only actually put in place when you're fit and well and you've got what's called mental capacity. Because if you ever find yourself in a position where you're incapacitated, so God forbid you get something like dementia, Alzheimer's, or you're in an accident, or you're seriously ill and you can't make decisions for yourself, a lasting power of attorney will allow you to appoint someone that you trust to carry on managing your affairs. Which, if you think about everything you do every day, every week, every month, if you couldn't do that yourself, who would do that? And that's what this lasting power of attorney does. I know we're going to cover it in a bit more depth, but it's an incredibly powerful document that deals with the here and now. We know a will will deal with everything when we've gone, but the lasting power of attorney offers you a phenomenal amount of protection while she's still alive.
And that's why I think as we go through this show, many people will go for the will and the lasting power of attorney when you hear about how important that document is as well. Let's give you the details of all the offers on the show, and you can call up right now to the lovely team in Lincoln. And like Helen Ian said, you don't need anything tonight. You know, all you need to do is have that chat, make that initial phone call, and you will be making a difference. It is the first step. And now a family estate and will, which would usually be £129, has a fantastic offer tonight for you at £49. Now also you can divide that up into 4 interest-free monthly payments, and it's just 4 months. It's not month after month after month. It's just 4 months. £12.25, saving £80. If you would like the lasting power of attorney separately, that is £299. That is down to £149, and that's on 4 of your monthly payments of £37.25. And if you want to go for the will and the lasting power of attorney together, usually £420. And the offer tonight on Ideal World is £179. And you can further divide that up into those flexible payment options of £44.75. Now the numbers on the bottom of the screen, the lovely people in Lincoln are waiting to take your call right now and have a chat with you, but also you can have a call back. And I think this is great if you just want, you know, sort of just to text wills to 88802. It's as simple as that, and the planning crowd will call you back. Or you can call the number 0333 6002 600. So just looking at those exclusive deals, it's a 4-month payment plan. And with the will and the LPA together, that's 2/3 off the price. And you can have that for as little as £44.75 a month. Fantastic. Helen, I'm going to come to you because we're talking about lasting power of attorney. What exactly is it?
So as Ian said, this is a document that you put into place now. There are actually 2 types of LPA. You've got a health and welfare one and property and financial affairs. Now, the one we're primarily talking about today is the property and financial affairs. The health and welfare one is one that gives someone authority to make decisions about where you live, what social activities you undertake, and that kind of thing. The one we're looking at today is the finance one, which seems to be the most popular one. So this is, as Ian said, the things that you do every day, like you pay your bills, you try and contact companies and things like that to discuss things with them. This gives someone the power to do that on your behalf. So if you imagine when you move house, all the companies that you have to speak to.
So true, yes.
You can imagine not being able to speak to them when you phone up and they ask for your password and your digital code and all the kind of things that you can never remember anyway. Imagine someone else trying to do that on your behalf and then not being able to speak to them. And if you're incapacitated, you don't want that worry of not being able to sort things out. It's normally an urgent thing. It's a traumatic time if anything happens to someone and someone else is trying to deal with their affairs. This document gives them the power to do it. So it is a really important thing to do, and everyone should be thinking about it.
So Ian, reiterating that as well, it is so important, isn't it, to have that LPA in place. Well, what happens if you haven't drafted one?
If, God forbid, anyone's unlucky enough to become incapacitated, and we're court of protection specialists, so we deal with this work as well. This is the flip side of the coin.
Right,
we get phone calls every day from family members who say, you know, my dad's lost capacity, my mum's lost capacity. Did they have a lasting power of attorney? No. And the only way that you can then actually help manage their affairs is to go through the courts and apply for something called a deputyship order. That in itself can take months, whereas a lasting power of attorney can be registered immediately if you want. But worse than that, it also costs a lot of money as well, because you're now dealing with the court process.
Of course.
And it's sad because a lasting power of attorney, it isn't an insurance policy. We know that if we make a will, our families are going to use that document. We know that as a fact. With a lasting power of attorney, I'm a fan of Murphy's Law, you know, plan for the worst and hope for the best. My wife and I have got lasting powers of attorney. It's stored at my company. We've not registered it yet because we're both very young, you know, Jen.
Oh, of course, Ian, yes.
We've not registered it yet, but we've got the peace of mind to know that if either of us did lose capacity, that document is ready to be registered with the Office of Public Guardian and can be used. So it's kind of an insurance policy in that respect, that we obviously hope that nothing's going to happen to us, but if it does, that document's there ready to go.
Absolutely.
And I'd rather have it and not need it than not
Yes.
have it and then have to push my family through the court of protection, which is just, it's quite arduous, isn't it, and very, very long.
It is. I've
and-
been through
and
it.
expensive. Yeah.
I've been through it. I know
Sorry, I'm
exactly how
preaching
hard
to
it
the
is.
choir. I do
No,
apologise.
absolutely. And I'm sure many people out there maybe have had this same experience. Helen, what do people need to do right now?
They just need to speak to us. They don't need to decide who to appoint as an
Right.
attorney. That's something that they can think about before we then contact them to make that appointment and to go through all their instructions. All they need now is just to say, yes, I've decided this is what I want to do, pick up the phone, register their interest, and then they'll have time to think about it.
Oh, it's so easy, isn't it?
It is. It's really straightforward. And the people that we've got on the phones tonight, they're there ready to take the call, and they will talk to you, answer your questions and put you at ease as well.
The details on the screen for you. If you want to have a call back, you can do that as well. Text the word wills to 88802, or of course call the number at the bottom of the screen as well. You know, what we're hearing tonight, Ian, it is really important, isn't it, to plan ahead?
Absolutely. If you've always got options with everything in life, I think you can, and one of the options that we've all got is you can choose to do nothing. So you can absolutely choose to do nothing. You don't have to take advantage of this offer, and you can leave everything, for all intents and purposes, to chance. Well, I've worked hard for everything I've got, and I love my family, and so I want to make sure that everything that I've worked hard for is going to go to the people that I want it to.
Of course.
The sad fact is that if you decide to do nothing, you get what's called, I call it the government will. We've all got, every adult in the UK is basically subject to something called the rules of intestacy. So if you pass away without a will, a set of rules that was in place from 1925, so it's a little bit out of touch,
A little bit.
will ultimately determine where your estate goes. So everything you've worked hard for, everything you own, is going to be determined by a set of rules that were set out in 1925. And it's the same for everybody. You know, and we've already said that everyone is individual. Every will we write is clearly bespoke to our clients. But actually, if you don't make your own will, you get the same rules as everybody else, and they just don't always work. In fact, they can make a real mess of things, because in 1925, people got married, had children together, and stayed married. Today, in 2017,
Very different, isn't it?
it's not unusual to have people on second, third relationships, children from different relationships. And it may sound melodramatic, but the rules of intestacy can literally rip those families apart.
Oh, of course.
At an already
Yes.
horrible time, it can be made even worse, for the sake of a 15-minute conversation where you can fix all of that.
And we will go in deeper into that in just a moment as well. I want to give you some details also of property and affairs. I just want you to take a look at this also. So this is your chosen attorney can. Now this is for the lasting power of attorney. Open, close and operate any account containing money. Buy, sell and lease property. Claim pensions, benefits, allowances, financial contributions, repayments and rebates. Pay household bills. Manage investments. Deal with HMRC as well. Essentially, you choose someone you trust to manage your affairs, and in the eyes of the institutions and companies that they deal with, they become you. That is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Here are your offers today, and don't forget, of course, family estate and will from £129 down to £49, or of course you can have those 4 interest-free monthly payments of £12.25. Lasting power of attorney from £299 down to £149, and also on monthly payments, and it's just 4 monthly payments. This is not month after month after month, it's just 4 months, £37.25. And also will and lasting power of attorney down from £420 for Ideal World. Look at this, £179, £44.75 on your 4 monthly payments also. You know, I'm going to ask the next question, but seeing those deals, Helen, I think a lot of us have answered it already. Why should people go for the planning crowd?
The deals are really attractive,
yes,
and we're really pleased to have been able to put these together. But I think people also want to know that actually they're going to get a good service as well. So as far as lasting powers of attorneys are concerned, we've been drafting them since they were introduced in 2007, and before that we were doing the enduring powers of attorney that they replaced. We pride ourselves on the fact that we provide a really good service. There was a report released by the Office of the Public Guardian in January this year, and they actually disclosed that 15% of LPAs drafted by solicitors had errors in them. So, yeah, it's quite shocking. 15%.
Yes.
That's not people trying to do it themselves. These are professionals that
yes,
have done them. We're really proud of the fact, thanks to our fabulous team, that we have never had a document refused registration by the Office of the Public Guardian. And that's thanks to our brilliant team that are doing a good job,
yes,
producing accurate documentation, talking people through the process, making sure that the provisions that go into the lasting powers of attorney are ones that will be accepted by the Office of the Public Guardian. And then also providing a checking service. So one of the main reasons that these documents are rejected is that they aren't signed and dated correctly, because there's a certain order that they have to be signed in and all the dates have to correspond. So we actually offer a free checking service so that the documents can come back to us. We can make sure it's all been done correctly so you don't get any nasty surprises in the future.
That's incredible. That really is. And going into the detail of that also. Ian, why do you think everyone should have a lasting power of attorney in place?
I think I referred to it as an insurance policy, which clearly it isn't, but it is the what-if scenario. None of us know what's going to happen. And it can be a really, really horrible time. There was something on the BBC a while ago where they actually interviewed a poor lady where her husband had been knocked down on a country lane, and she was devastated because he controlled all the money and she couldn't do anything. And it was quite heartbreaking to watch because she went through the courts, she got power to do everything, but she even had to ask the courts permission to pay her own daughter's tuition fees. So it was really, really difficult for this woman whilst her husband's lying in a coma. Yeah. And then she really broke down because she said her husband passed away, but then it was a relief because then she could manage her affairs again.
Oh my
so she was going through this really traumatic time, but then had the hassle of dealing with the courts and everything else on top of all of that. If you don't want that for your family, and I don't want it for mine, I mean, touch wood, I hope nothing happens to me. But I know that if it does, there's a lasting power of attorney document in place. And the peace of mind I get from that is I don't create any further issues for my family. But I also know that it's someone I trust who's actually going to step in and take over and run things for me, if you like.
Absolutely.
So
peace of mind.
It's a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's why everyone should have a lasting power of attorney.
It is a peace of mind, though, isn't it? Absolutely.
People pay for insurance. There's all kinds of insurance: boiler insurance, home insurance,
We do.
car. We pay for all kinds of things that may or may not happen, and we pay those year in, year out. As you've pointed out today, this is just for 4 months, a very, very low payment for 4 months. And once you've got the document, and you don't wait 4 months for the document, we do the document straight away. So once you've got the document, you've got it and you're protected.
And that's a weight. I think it's a weight off your shoulders as well.
Yeah.
We talked about the offers, Helen. Why do you think our lovely viewers should take advantage of these offers?
They've got a great opportunity. There will be lots of people sat at home that are in that position where they've put it off already. They know they need to do it. Well, today's the day. You know, take advantage and pick the phone up. Don't put it off. There's a bit of a misconception that these documents are only used when you get older and, you know, if you suffer from Alzheimer's or dementia, but actually they can have other uses as well. So if you find yourself in hospital for a temporary stay and someone needs to sort out your finances for you, these documents can help provide that. It doesn't have to be some catastrophic accident or one of the horrible diseases that are all over the news at the moment. It can be something pleasant, like you're out of the country on a holiday and something happens here and you need someone to be able to deal with that for you. So this document can do that, so don't put it off. It's a really valuable thing to do.
It really is. Do you know, I have to say, it really is incredible how much a lasting power of attorney covers all the circumstances that you just talked about. That's incredible.
Helen's all about the positive. You know, if you're under the sun and you need someone to deal with your affairs when you're at home, and that's absolutely true. I'm all about the plan for the worst and hope for the best. You know, the reason we've done a lasting power of attorney, as I've said, is I'd rather know that it's there in case it's needed, because the consequence of it not being there, and as I said, this is what we do at the office as well, the court of protection work, is we see how arduous, how painful, how difficult it can be dealing with the courts. There are supervision fees that you have to pay with the courts if you get a deputyship order, and they're a minimum of £320 a year. You know, so the cost and the time and everything else that can be incurred by not having a lasting power of attorney in place, if you can take advantage of this offer, do it and hope that you never need it. But have it and hope that you don't need it, because if one day your family need it, it'll be one of the most selfless things you've ever done.
And like you said, it's not, you know, we pay for insurance, like you said, boiler insurance and everything else year after year after year. This is 4 months and that's it. What happens, Helen, if, say, a family member loses capacity and they don't have a lasting power of attorney in place?
Okay, so the only option that people have to be able to access their finances is to apply to the Court of Protection, and that's for a deputyship order. And what that order effectively does is give them all the powers that they would have had if the person had drawn up a lasting power of attorney. The problem is that the process isn't straightforward. It's a lengthy application. There are lots of supplementary forms that need to be completed. You have to do a complete financial breakdown, so you're having to disclose really personal information to the courts. Of course, the courts don't know you. You haven't been appointed to act, so they then want to know that you're a suitable person, and you have to use free text boxes to explain why you are the right person to handle those affairs. So it's a really, really difficult thing to do. You also have to get a capacity certificate from a doctor. So you have to get an appointment and have a visit so that someone can say that the person no longer has capacity. And of course, doctors will want fees for doing that. And then when you get to the application stage, you then have a court fee to pay as well. And as Ian mentioned, there are then ongoing supervision fees. So it's a very expensive process. It's a really complicated process as well. Even when you've got your application to the court, it can take 5 or 6 months before you get the order. So you're looking at around 9 months in total. And you can imagine if someone's lost capacity and you need to access, say, their funds to pay for their care, and you can't do that, you've got to wait 9 months for this order. It's really quite a traumatic time, and we see it.
Stress,
we see it.
It adds a tremendous amount of stress to an already horrible situation.
Yes.
That can be alleviated with a 15-minute phone call. That's the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
It's a very, very simple thing to avoid.
And those costs as well. And we're going to give you details of this right now. And you know, when you see the deals that we have and the offers we have tonight. So applying for a deputyship order, right? This is what you have to do. Application fee is £400. Assessment fee is £100. A hearing fee is £500. A supervision fee is £320. Now that's a total of £1,320. Medical evidence is often required for the first applications and can be an additional cost in the region of £500. These figures exclude any professional fees that may be incurred. Now if I showed you the single lasting power of attorney details, as you can see there, for £149, and you compare that, I mean, you know, you can avoid all of that. What do I need to have ready, Helen, tonight? What do viewers need to have?
You don't need to have anything. Just make that decision to do the document. You've seen and heard how important it is, how complicated it is if you haven't got one, how expensive it can be. Just decide that today's the day to make a difference and to get that in place. If not for yourself, then do it for your family, because they're the ones that are going to need this in the future.
Indeed, and just seeing those costs there, you know, and it usually will be at a stressful time. And the last thing you need is to have to go through all of that. And it's incredible just reading through that list, actually, of the costs. You know, it is quite shocking, isn't it? Let's have a look at the offers here for you on this show. And after seeing those costs, I think, well, a family estate and will, £129. So that's been reduced for you tonight at £49. And also, you can split it up into those monthly payments of £12.25. Now, that's only for 4 months. We're not talking about, you know, sort of every single month of the year. It's 4 months, that's it, it's done. And you save £80 on that already. Lasting power of attorney. We just saw the costs involved if you don't have one. £299 down to £149. You're saving £150, and you can break that up as well into £37.25. If you want to go for the will and the lasting power of attorney, which I'm sure many of you would be choosing to do right now, £420 down to £179. Now also, not only a great offer, but you still have 4 interest-free monthly payments. And once those 4 months are done, that's it, it's done. And you get it straight away. You don't have to wait until the end of 4 months, as Ian said as well. At the bottom of the screen, you see the number to call to talk to the lovely people in Lincoln, and it's a chat. You don't have to have everything ready. You don't have to be getting all the documents out of the shoe boxes and going through the drawers, anything like that. 0333 600 2600. Just have the initial chat. That's it, the first step, as we like to say. Or text the word wills to 88802, and they will call you back as well. Ellen, can you explain again why it's important to make your own will?
Okay, so there are a number of things that a will can do. Obviously, the main thing that people think about is distributing assets to the right people. Because if you don't write a will, there is effectively a government will, the rules of intestacy, that will do that for you. So if you do produce your own will, what that means is you can appoint executors and trustees. So that means you can choose the people that you trust to deal with your estate when you're no longer here. And I think that's really important. You can also deal with your assets. You can not only think about your estate as a whole, but you can make individual gifts to people. So if you've got a family heirloom, you can make sure that that passes on. I know lots of people have specific items of jewellery and things like that they want to leave down particular strands of the family, and that's important to a lot of people.
It is indeed, of course.
Also charitable gifts as well. A lot of people give to charity during their lifetime, and they like to remember that charity when they die as well. So we can write charitable gifts in wills, and that's really important to a lot of people. With children as well, you can also appoint guardians, and that's really key. So you can choose who's going to look after your children when you're not around to do so. If something happens when they're young, which nobody wants to think about, but it's something that you can put in your will.
It's incredible, isn't it? And you don't realise how much you can actually, you know, put into the will to let everybody know what your wishes are, your specific wishes. And I'm going to show you something now, and this is detailing what a government will probably not give you, actually. No executors. Children inherit at age 18. Children may become a ward of court. The rules of intestacy dictate who inherits. There's no provision for cash gifts or heirlooms, and funeral wishes and organ donation is not catered for. That's quite shocking, really, because that is one of the things I think that's so important to people, is that, you know, the organ donation, the funeral wishes, one of the most important things, I think. That's incredible that none of that is taken care of. What happens if you pass away and you don't have a valid will in place?
The first question that's asked about you is whether you were married or not, because that's how the rules of intestacy pretty much works. When we talk about this one rule fits all, and I know you seem quite surprised about how little the rules of intestacy does, but of course logically for millions and millions of adults it can't be personal, so it has to be this very, very black and white thing. And sadly, this black and white set of rules, as I said, without being melodramatic, can tear families apart. We saw clients very, very recently who because you don't think about this every day, some of this information comes as a shock, but they were a married couple, but they were on their second marriage. They were both on the second marriage. The lady had got children from her previous relationship, and the gentleman had got children from his previous relationship. I know this sounds quite cold, but in a situation where there's a couple, there's always a first death and then a second death. And on first death, because they were married, the first part of their estate, when they passed away, goes to the surviving spouse. And then when that surviving spouse passes away, it goes down their bloodline to their children. So it's basically a lottery as to which children ultimately end up inheriting, to who dies first. And that was a real shock to these guys.
Yeah.
But again, they wanted their children to be treated collectively as their children. And we were able to draft them a will and put it right, basically. But if either of them had passed away before a will, and they didn't know that until we had a conversation, thankfully a friend referred them to us, and they were like, we don't think we need one, you know, we're married, we've got kids, it'll be fine. Produce the rules of intent, because we get that a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we
Everyone thinks it'll be fine.
We
and
assume, don't we?
Yeah, and unfortunately, because, you know, people don't wake up and go on a search engine and type what happens when I die and find the rules of intestacy. But essentially you're asked whether you're married or not, and then a series of yes-no questions determines where your estate goes. And quite often that's not what you would want. And because it doesn't cater for all the personal stuff like we mentioned, specific gifts, heirlooms, that kind of thing, whatever wishes you may have just unfortunately don't get carried out. And that's when problems can occur in the family, because people say, well, mum wanted this to happen and dad wanted that to happen. And the vast majority of family breakdowns are after death because something wasn't planned out and something wasn't made clear, or the rules of intestacy rip the families apart. So, as I said, it's a really selfless thing to do, but the most important 30 minutes of your life, tops, because it doesn't take that long, and we will guide you, we will make an appointment for you at a time that's convenient for you. We'll give you some information to think about, some very, very simple stuff to help you think about preparing for the appointment. And then during the appointment, we'll actually only produce your documents once you're 100% happy with the advice that we've given you and the instructions you've given us. But it all comes back to taking that first step. So anyone that's thinking about it, please pick up the phone. It'll be the most selfless thing you can do.
And you'll be guiding us all the way.
Absolutely.
So that's the great thing about it. It's not hard, it's not difficult. And I know a lot of us think, oh, I can't do that. Oh, they'll ask me loads of questions, it'll be really difficult, I'll have to know everything. You don't, you absolutely don't. That's what the planning crowd are here for. Helen, we talked about children with Ian, sort of, you know, in different families. What happens if the worst happened and both parents died at the same time? What happens to children?
It's not something anyone wants to think
No,
about,
of
but
course.
everybody should that has children. Basically, if you write a will, you can appoint guardians. So you get to choose who can look after those children if anything did happen to you. If you don't put that in a will, it then becomes down to the family to kind of step up. And that person who steps up and says, oh, I'll look after them, might not be the person that you've chose. And then it comes down to the courts as well. Worst case scenario, if nobody steps up to look after those children, it is down to the courts and social services to decide. So you can avoid that by just appointing guardians in your will. Giving it a bit of thought, it's not an easy thing. Sometimes couples don't agree about who the children should go to, but it's something that they should think about. Have that conversation. It's not a comfortable conversation to have, but if anything happens to you, you need to know that they're going to be looked after by the person you want.
Where couples don't agree, my experience is the mum always wins.
Exactly right, Ian. Exactly right. Now, I've seen a lot of templates around, and you know, sort of as we've spoken more about this, you know, some people say to me, "Oh, just you get a template off the internet and you just fill that in." Why should we choose the planning crowd rather than just getting a template?
I think in this age of information, it's very easy to think that you're an expert in anything. And
Very
if anyone's
true.
ever been poorly and they've Googled the symptoms, they'll think they've got some kind of exotic disease and are dying. This is we employ and train very, very, very intelligent people who do this day in, day out, and are recognised by the Institute of Professional Will Writers, hold recognised qualifications, and know exactly what they're doing, and understand that this is a legal document. To go and do a template, I don't know why anyone would take that risk with something so massive. This is the last thing that you sort of do on this planet. And it's so important. As I said earlier, I've worked hard for everything. I want to make sure that what I've got is going to go to the right people. And I do that by drafting a legally binding document. Templates have existed for a while, but a lot of the failures at probate and a lot of the reasons wills fail is because there has been no advice given. And so mistakes are made in it, or they're not attested correctly, which is a posh way for saying signed and witnessed. And unless you know exactly what you're doing, you've got a legal background, I don't know why you would do that. If I get a toothache, I don't grab a pair of pliers and go on the internet and think, I think I can pull this out. I go to a dentist. And I don't mean to be facetious, but certainly,
No, but it's true,
certainly these
yeah.
offer prices as well. I'd argue that actually our cost is as inexpensive as some of the templates are available. And the templates provide no advice, there's no recourse. We as a business carry something called professional indemnity insurance to the tune of £5 million. So touch wood, we've never made a mistake, but if we did, the work that we do is insured. So, you know, do you want to do this incredibly valuable thing yourself and hope you get it right, or do you want to choose a professional who's going to hold your hand, give you all the advice that you need, and also take the liability for doing it right? It's such an important thing.
It is.
I don't know why you take a chance.
And
I really don't.
it's your whole life's your whole life's work, your whole life, your family, and you put it in a template. I just, you know, when you make that, it is too great. Absolutely. I want you to take a look at this because these are the offers tonight. A family estate and will, £129, and that is down to £49 for our viewers tonight. And you've got 4 interest-free payments as well of £12.25. Lasting power of attorney, which we've talked about, and it is incredible what it covers. That's down from £299 to £149, or you can have those interest-free flexible payments again of £37.25. A will and a lasting power of attorney, £44.75 on 4 interest-free payments, £179. Now, how to get in touch? On the bottom of the screen, 0333 600 2600. Have a chat. That's all you need. You don't have to get any documents out. You don't have to know exactly what you want or anything like that. Just have your initial chat. And all you have to do also, if you just want to call back, text the word wills to 88802. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, we have had lots of very, very happy customers, of course, and thank you so much to Mr. and Mrs. Clamp for writing in and telling us. We had heard awful stories about partners and children not inheriting. This wasn't something we wanted to happen in our family, so we took some advice from the planning crowd to make sure we were protected. They were able to show us how we could guarantee that our son would inherit, and the advice they gave us was extremely helpful and clear. Nothing was too much trouble, and they took the time to fully explain everything we needed to know. We would encourage anyone who hasn't made a will to speak to the planning crowd and get this valuable document put in place. That's Mr. and Mrs. Clamp. And, you know, really lovely as well to hear from so many lovely people writing in to telling us, you know, sort of telling us their experience as well. Helen, we are getting exceptional value and a massive discount here today.
It is, yeah, it is, and we're really pleased to be able to do that. And I think it's important to say that yes, the prices are discounted. You still get the same service. It's still the same service. You're speaking to the same people. You're getting your documents drafted by a highly qualified team of legal specialists. We actually, as Ian mentioned, we are members of the Institute of Professional Will Writers, and that means that we subscribe to a code of practice that's actually approved by Trading Standards. So we carry the Trading Standards approved logo as well, and that gives our clients a bit of reassurance for that. People are getting really good value for money. You spoke about template wills. There are even free wills that are available around, but you're not getting any advice for that. You're not speaking to people. You're not going through your circumstances. You don't know what you don't know. So until you speak to someone and have that conversation, you don't understand the consequences of even getting the wording incorrect in a will, where it can be rejected. If you're thinking about it enough to go out and buy a template or sign up for a will, then it's important to you. And if you're doing it, just do a good job of it when you've got the chance. So get it done, phone up, speak to us, get your will in place, and then it's done. You can relax.
Do it once and do it properly.
Yes.
Ian, what do I need to do right now to make that call? What do I need to have?
You need a computer or a telephone.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need. No documents, nothing.
No. You know, if people have been thinking about it, until we do the consultation, and the clients might be very clear about what they want to achieve, and our job is to help them achieve that, but do it correctly. And you know, Helen's hit the nail on the head that you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes what our clients think they want to achieve, actually, when they've had a conversation, they realise there's a much better way of actually dealing with their estate. And so, it all comes back to taking that first step, though. So whilst I'm being flippant again, saying you need a phone or the internet, basically pick up that phone, secure this offer today. Don't worry if you don't know exactly what you want to do, because that's our job to help you get there, and you'll get there at your pace. Some people know instantly what they want to do and it's done. Some people take a little bit longer, and sometimes we might pose questions that they want to go away and think about, which is absolutely fine as well. So you go at your own pace, but you can only go at your own pace if you make that first phone call,
Very true.
if you send the text, if you go on our website. But please take that first step, because it'll be a really, really massive thing that you're doing for your family. Huge.
Now, Mr. and Mrs. Malloy did exactly that. They made that call, and then they've written in to tell us the results, because this is what they've had to say. A friend recommended us to the planning crowd. The consultant that dealt with our case was extremely knowledgeable and helpful. We thought it might be a bit daunting and time-consuming to sort everything out, but the planning crowd made the whole process very simple and straightforward. We now have the peace of mind that we have looked after each other and our 2 young daughters. Plus, through the planning crowd's dedicated aftercare service, we can simply update our wills as and when our circumstances change. And I want you to take another look at making the will as well, and what you can have, because you choose your own executors and trustees. Remember the government one? Couldn't do that. You choose at what age your children or grandchildren inherit it. You couldn't do that with the government either. You document who you want to be the guardians of your children. You decide who inherits from your estate, not the rules of intestacy. Just as importantly, you can document who you don't want to inherit. And you can leave specific gifts and legacies and charitable donations. You can specify your funeral wishes, and you can document your organ donation preferences as well. I want to recap on the offers for you, because I know that lots of people are interested. Lots of people are loving the fact that you've got the payments, the monthly payments as well, and the offers here tonight. £49 for a family estate and will, as opposed to £129. A lasting power of attorney is now £149 as opposed to £299. And the will and lasting power of attorney, £420 down to £179. £12.25 for the family estate and will per month for 4 months only. £37.25 for the LPA, lasting power of attorney, for 4 months only, and £44.75 for both, and that also is for 4 months. Now, we talked about the lovely people in Lincoln, of course, and we'll be speaking to the lovely Gareth in just a while, but before we do, we're just going to talk about, again, what you need to be able to just make that call tonight. And it literally is, as you said, Ian, a telephone, computer, pen and paper.
Telephone or an internet connection.
That's all you need.
Just take that first step and secure the offer. Don't overthink it. Just know that it's the right thing to do. You know that you need a will, and if you decide to go for lasting power of attorney, I hope you would never, or your family would never need to use it.
Absolutely.
But if it's there and they do, it'll be one of the greatest things you've ever done for your family. Which sounds a little bit disingenuous. You know, it's great that, but we do see both sides of the coin.
Every day you're seeing it.
We get a phone call from families where there's no planning in place, and of course we can help them, but that's much more expensive and much more difficult for them.
Yes.
And then we get phone calls where the planning is in place, and it's often the case that we just get the documents out of our storage facility and put it into action.
Makes a difference, doesn't it?
It's absolutely huge. The difference is huge.
Now, we talked about the lovely people in Lincoln waiting to take your call. I know they're very busy. Gareth has taken a little bit of time out to have a chat with us. Hello, Gareth.
Hello, you okay?
Hello, Gareth. Now, tell me a little bit about how it's going there tonight.
It's going very well, thank you. It's extremely busy this evening. There's a lot of you viewers taking advantage of the offers that we've got on, and the phone lines are very busy this evening.
Oh, I won't keep you long, Gareth. I hear you loud and clear. Any kind of particular questions coming in, Gareth?
We're getting a lot of questions about how the LPAs actually work, so maybe it's something you could ask Ian to elaborate on, and that seems to be the main thing. But other than that, it's very busy this evening.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Gareth. Now, I know you're very busy. We're not going to keep you. We just wanted to touch base with you, so to speak, as well. But I'll let you get back to the many, many viewers that are making those calls right now. Thank you so much, Gareth.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Gareth. Lovely Gareth, of course, in Lincoln, ready and waiting to take your calls right now. Don't forget the callback service as well if you want to use that. Helen, can you tell me a little bit more about the registration process?
Yes, so a lasting power of attorney is a two-stage process. The first part of it, which is the important thing, get it drafted, get it drawn up, signed and dated so that the document is complete. Once that's done, you've then got a choice. Either you can keep it somewhere safe until you need it, or you can register it with the Office of the Public Guardian now. Now, the key thing is it has to be registered before it can be used, which is why the Office of the Public Guardian recommend that you register them as soon as possible. Once it's registered with them, sent for them for registration, they do charge a fee for that. It's £82, but there are discounts available dependent on your circumstances. So, like I say, registration, it's not compulsory. At the moment, you can keep your document until you need it, but it will have to be registered if you do need it in the future.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Now, also, of course, we talked about lots of people writing in to tell us their experience with the planning crowd. I want you to take a look at this also. And this is Mrs. Cole, and Mrs. Cole says, my daughter referred me to the planning crowd to make a will. They were able to answer any questions I had, and they made the whole process very simple. If I'd have known it was that straightforward to do, I would have done it sooner. I would encourage anyone thinking of making a will to speak to the planning crowd. They were very helpful and extremely professional in their dealings with me. Thank you so much. We talked about lasting power of attorney, Helen, and of course having a valid will in place. Can you just remind our viewers what happens if you don't have these?
Yeah, of course. With a will, like we said, you can choose who your executors are. So you're appointing who you want to deal with your estate. If you haven't got a will, it will fall down to the rules of intestacy, and they also dictate who deals with your assets as well. So it might be someone dealing with your estate who's got the authority then to do it who you don't want. You're choosing who your beneficiaries are if you write a will, whereas under the intestacy rules, those rules lay out, and as Ian described earlier, they don't fit everyone's circumstances, especially cohabitees. There's no provision for cohabitees under the intestacy rules. As you mentioned, you can also exclude people in your will.
Yes.
So if there are particular people that you don't want to inherit, you can exclude them from inheriting your estate. Under the intestacy rules, the rules are fixed. If they're entitled to inherit under those rules, there's nothing you can do about it.
And let's have a look to see how that compares again to that government will. And it really is, to be honest, I would say no comparison, because this is, you can see the benefits, and just picking some out, you decide what age your children inherit. Well, children inherit at age 18. Things like you can leave specific gifts. There's no provision for cash gifts or heirlooms with the government will. And documented funeral wishes, you can document them, and organ donation preferences. Do you know what the government will? Funeral wishes and organ donation is not catered for. So just looking through that, we can see the benefits today. And of course, with the fantastic offers as well, this is the right time, isn't it? Ian, just to go back to the fantastic offers that we've just spoken about, we see the great offers.
Yeah.
How were you able to bring us these exceptional prices?
To be honest with you, it's because the Ideal World show is very, very successful. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can, you know, and this gives us an opportunity to sit in people's homes and do, I think, a really positive thing. I mentioned earlier that some of the reasons that people put off making a will might be down to they might feel that they don't understand it, so they don't want to feel that it's stupid, and you know, they might feel that they've got nothing to leave, or they just don't have a good enough understanding of it. But in reality, everyone should have a will. And what we want to do is help people do that, because I keep talking about these two sides of the coin. And honestly, if you saw what we saw every day,
of course,
for the sake of, I think the will and LPA offer that we've put on today is less than £1.50 a day for those 4 months.
Oh,
you know,
my word, when you put it like that.
We've tried to make it as affordable as possible, to have these fantastic documents that we know the will be used. The lasting power of attorney, if it's needed, is a fantastic thing to have.
It is indeed. Helen, fantastic, exceptional deals tonight.
Yeah. They really are.
Yes.
I mean, when you put it in context at £1.50 a day, that's...
It's a cup of coffee a day.
It's really good.
Your coffee's cheap.
Just compare it. Let's have a look at all the offers for you on this show today. Family and estate will to £129 down to £49 or £12.25, and that of course is on your monthly payment. 4 months only though. It's not every, you know, it's not 12 months or anything like that. Lasting power of attorney £299 down to £149 or £37.25 and your 4 monthly payment, or will and a lasting power of attorney from £420 to £179 or £44.75. Now If you want to have a callback service, you can do that as well. It's either the number at the bottom of the screen and just call the lovely people in Lincoln, or text the word wills to 88802. That's all you have to do. And it's what you have to say as well. That's what's so important to the planning crowd. I saw the planning crowd recommending wills and lasting power of attorney documents at Ideal World. Their offers looked amazing, and so I called them during the show to take advantage of the exclusive prices. I spoke to Daisy, who explained the whole process and took me through everything. She made me feel incredibly at ease and helped me to understand it all in simple terms. She was true to her word, and I felt supported throughout the whole process, and nothing was too much trouble. They even visited me at my home to ensure that I understood the paperwork and was happy with everything. I can now feel secure in the knowledge that my wishes will be carried out and my family cared for when the day comes. I highly recommend the planning crowd to help anyone with their estate planning needs. Ian, can you remind me, just in case anyone has joined us, who should have a will?
Everyone should have a will. A lot of people think that they don't need one, and it's not because we use this phrase, you don't know what you don't know. But we talk about cohabitees, we mentioned earlier, that there's no provision for that. There's a lot of people who think that they're common law husband and wife because they've lived together for a while.
Is that not the case?
That doesn't exist, unfortunately. The rules of intestacy are very black and white. You're either married or you're not, and there's no provision for partners, none whatsoever. Yeah. And so, you know, there's families out there who think that everything's going to be okay, and unfortunately, when the day happens, and then obviously it's too late to put right, that's when the trouble starts. And all of that can be avoided with one phone call. So please pick up the phone.
Absolutely. Let me remind you of those deals. You might have just joined us and thought, well, actually, I have been thinking about doing this for a while, but I thought it might be very expensive. Well, take a look at the offers tonight. Family estate and will, £129. That's £49. That's the Ideal World offer price of 4 interest-free monthly payments. Remember, it's just 4 months, £12.25. 12, and that was what, £1.50 a day, did we say? That's incredible. Lasting power of attorney, £299, £149 is the Ideal World offer price, £37.25 and 4 monthly payments. And a will and lasting power of attorney, £420, £179 for the offer today, or £44.75. Oh, do pick up that phone. We saw the cost with that lasting power of attorney to go through the court process. These are amazing deals, and it's so easy to get in touch. The bottom of the screen is a number 0333 600 2600, or you can text the word wills to 88802. I have no idea where that hour went. So interesting, though, to find out so much. And I think what we've learned tonight is plan ahead, don't assume. A massive thank you to Ian, director, and of course our lovely Helen as well. Thank you so much for joining us and explaining so much to me, to our viewers, and for bringing us those fantastic offers as well. I know it's very busy. Of course, Garrett said that it was very busy at the call centre right now. So do make that call. Pick up the phone. You make a difference for yourself and your loved ones. It's very, very easy to do. Thank you so much, Ian and Helen, and thank you to you. Bye-bye.